All right, this brings our time to 15 minutes past the hour of 12 p.m. this beautiful afternoon. How are you doing right there? Remember, it's the Mending Heart with Elizabeth Ikone. And today, I am not here alone. I have somebody in the studio, and I know you would love to meet him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, can Nigerians meet you?
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. My name is Silvanus Ibem.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Silvanus, for coming on my invitation. I am indeed very honored to have you over here in the studio. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, Nigerians, listen to me right there. Mr. Silvanus is here in the studio, and today we are going to discuss on a very vital topic. Yes, we are going to discuss on a very vital topic. The last week we talked about grieving and moving on, and today we want us to discuss an important topic that affects everybody, and the topic is the effect of divorce on children. The effect of divorce on children. All right, my guest and I is here to do justice to that topic. And if you want to join our interaction, you know what to do. Just call us on 091 5555 5898 to join our interaction this afternoon. Call us on 091 5555 5898. All right, Mr. Silvanus. Can you tell us the effect? Well, I say, what is the most significant emotional challenge children face during divorce?
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for the opportunity to be here. There are quite a number of effects, especially emotionally, that children suffer or go through due to divorce.
Okay.
Chief among those, you could say, is insecurity.
All right.
You see, insecurity comes first. There is also the anxiety that goes with that.
All right.
And there is anger. There is the feeling of not being wanted, feeling of unworthiness, and so many others. There are quite a number of them. I hope that in the course of our discussion today, we'll shed more light on all those.
Okay, you talked about insecurity,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us how does divorce impact on children's sense of security and stability? How does it impact on their life?
Okay, when a child is born, a child literally knows next to nothing.
All right.
As a baby. So you could pick up the child, throw the child up, and you notice that the child feels jittery. That's insecurity. That's
Okay.
about the only thing the child is aware of.
The fear of falling.
The fear of falling, the fear of a fall. But as the child grows older, the child is able to see the faces of those people who throw the child up. First amongst those will be the father, and then maybe the mother. Okay? So the child registers those two faces.
All right.
When those faces throw the child up, they catch the child. The child feels secure, smiles, and even laughs at whoever is throwing him up or her. And so the child tends to feel a sense of security. If the child needs food, the child knows whom to go to.
Okay.
Mommy, I'm hungry. So the child knows I have food security with my mother. If the child as the child grows older, the child wants maybe lollipop or something. The child says, Daddy, I want sweet. I want candy. And the daddy says, okay, when I'm coming back from work, I'll buy you some candy. And when he's coming back, he buys candy for the child. So the child knows, okay, if it is something that has to do with money, I have financial insecurity with my pa.
Okay.
And if I need food, I can go to mom. And so the child grows and continues to see these two figures as his security, his or its insurance. But when divorce happens, the child loses that. The child thinks, oh, my financial security is gone. My food security is gone. Yes, of course, the child will still be eating, but it does something to the child's psyche. You know, the child thinks, I was secure when this man threw me up and caught me. I felt secure. In fact, there's a video of a man who told the son to climb a certain roof, a small thatched roof. And the child climbed. So he told the son, jump, I'll catch you. The child, without thinking twice, jumped. And he caught him, brought him down, and said to him, my son, I need you to learn this. As long as I live, I will always be there to catch you no matter what. Now, picture that child a few months later, a year later, or sometime later, and the child hears that his parents are getting a divorce. He loses that sense of security with the father. it affects the child in a very terrible way. That's just one of the small ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. A very terrible way. Can you share a personal experience?
I haven't experienced divorce, not with my parents or in my own personal life. I've been married
Okay.
16 years, 8 months before my beautiful wife went to be with the Lord. Yeah.
What about observation?
Yeah, of course, I've had observations. So I can tell you from observations that divorce, it's one gift that keeps taking. It keeps taking from the child. Far back as 2013, September, in fact, to be precise, September 4th, 2013, I wrote a poem on divorce. I
Okay.
titled it The Victims. I published it on my blog. If you don't mind, I could mention
No,
silvaibem.blogspot.com. That's silva, SYLVAIBEM.blogspot.com. I titled it The Victims. And if you don't mind, I'll just go through it. It will answer your question in full.
All right.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
It is a 6-verse poem. The first verse says, "Who are the real victims? The men who walk away, who go on to make more victims, from whom they also get away." The next verse says, "Who are the victims of divorce? The women who are in pieces torn by mistakes made without remorse, whose children are also torn." Third verse, "The men are not the real victims. They have enjoyed half their life." Enjoyed in quotes.
Okay.
They have enjoyed half their life. The women aren't the victims, the real victims, although cut deeply by this knife. Fourth verse, "The victims are now on the school bus.
Okay.
They must not miss the school bus. The victims have left the school bus. Mama alone can't afford the school bus." The next verse says, "The victims drop out of college,
Okay.
drop into the dark street corners, drop into the wraps of elite, and end up subjects of coroners." Finally, the last verse, "Although some meet and marry, birthing some, aborting some, but when victim and victim marry, another victim becomes the sum."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting piece.
Thank
sir.
you. Published September 4th, 2013. So, going back to your question, if you could rephrase, if you could take it again, please.
Okay, Axel, can you share, you say
Personal experience, observations
about the effect of
Yes.
divorce on children?
I have observed that people.
All right, sir, before you answer that question,
Okay.
What inspired you to write this poem? Because I've been thinking
Yeah.
since, because 2013,
13.
it's a very, like, say,
11 years ago.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to write this poem?
I was married 2006,
Okay.
April 16, 2006. And as time went on, this was like 7 years after my marriage, seven and a half years after my marriage.
Okay.
I was talking with my wife and I asked her, because we had never had a quarrel. We never had a quarrel those 16 years and 8 months. Yes. So after those 7 years, I asked her, what exactly makes people divorce?
Okay.
Of course, there are answers. Maybe infidelity, lack of respect from the side of the woman usually, and a litany of reasons, okay, that make people divorce. Sometimes someone just wants their sanity back, or they want peace of mind, and so they file for divorce. But then I kept asking that question, and I came down to the point, who suffers from divorce?
Okay.
Who suffers, really? Is it the man? The man, yes, of course, when he divorces, unless he never loved her from the beginning. If a man divorces a woman, he misses her.
Okay.
Yes, he does. Yeah, because there were some things he saw in the woman before he married her, and those things are still there. But then there are other things that he saw after they got married, which he couldn't bear anymore, or which he felt they outweighed the good ones. So he filed for divorce. So I kept thinking about it. It came down to the children, because you see, it's said that when two elephants fight,
Yes.
the grass suffers.
Exactly.
Who is the grass in this case? It's usually the child or the children in the mix. They suffer. So I sort of zoomed into the mind of this child to try to see what has happened around the child.
All right.
And what's going on in the society. What has happened to those who have divorced and their children especially. I came to the conclusion that the real victims of divorce are the children.
They are indeed the real victims.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's what I think, and that's what my poem says. Yeah, so because, you see, the third verse of the poem, although the second verse talks about the woman being torn in pieces by the divorce, the third verse says the man has enjoyed half of his life, so to say. He has enjoyed that marriage.
So is it only the woman that is being torn by divorce?
Like I said earlier, both parties.
Okay, both parties.
Divorce is not easy on any party.
It's not easy.
This is from my observation. Like I said, I've never experienced it, but those who have experienced it, a man spent some 40 or 45 million naira on his wedding, and the marriage did not last up to 1 year. And if you read what he wrote on Twitter, you could tell that this man is in pain. He had been torn in pieces. Yes. And it's the same story when you meet such men who actually loved the woman they married. But one thing led to another. And as usual, most times, it's the woman that files for divorce. It's been said that, over 70% of the time, women are the ones who file for divorce.
Okay.
And when she does that, the man feels broken. Men are... I don't want to sound too much. I don't want to sound like I'm favoring the men in this a lot.
No,
but I want to
on.
just tell you who a man is.
Okay.
Men are wired to literally sacrifice their lives to please the people they love.
Okay.
For the good of the people they love. And the number one person he loves is his wife. A man loves his wife more than he loves his children, I can tell you that. And so when this woman says, I don't want this relationship again, you can imagine what it does to his heart. Are there men who misbehave in marriages that makes the woman say, I don't want to marry again?
Okay.
There are plenty of them. There have been cases where the woman decided, I don't want to be in this marriage again because my husband is sexually abusing our daughter. You can imagine that. Or he doesn't respect me. He's going off after everything in skirts. And that's heartbreaking. So both parties are torn, like my poem says, and which is actually the reality. It affects both parties.
All right, thank you so much. What will you say to those men, even though they are the great cause of the divorce, they always blame the victim? But actually, maybe they are narcissists, you know what I mean? You know you are hurting this person, but you are being like, you do as if you don't know this really hurts. Just imagine your husband going after everything on skirt, like you said.
Yeah.
And they still expect you, like he still expects you to remain in that marriage. Do you understand? Take everything he threw at you. What will you say to them? Like, that's the reason why you say 70%, because the women, in quotes, are tired. Like, tired of taking it. Do you understand? So they now say, okay, I need my sanity back. What will you say to men?
Thank you very much. When divorce happens, most times you see the parents say to the children or the child involved in the middle, I love you no matter what happens, no matter what has happened between me and your mom or between me and your dad. Just know that, always remember that I still love you and I will always do. And I say to myself, this is something you should have shown in the marriage.
Okay.
It's not when divorce has happened that you should start fighting for the love of the child. Start fighting for the love of the child when you are still in the marriage. Don't be a narcissist, dear brother. The world doesn't revolve around you. If you say you love your child, you love your children, treat their mother right. She doesn't know everything. When I got married, I saw my wife as my first child. So I let her know. See, anyway, these days people date and even live together in the same house.
Exactly.
Yeah, I never had that, never did that. My wife was living in Abuja, I was living in Calabar when we were dating. It was over the phone. You remember the phone that has cords?
Yes.
Or you take a card and go to Nitel phone booth.
Yes.
Okay, so that was our dating. How are you? I'm fine, this and that. But then when we were close to the marriage, I told her, when we get married, I would like for us to live for 1 full year, just the two of us. No relatives coming to stay with us or anything. The reason is I want to know you well, so that you know me well. We've not really dated. physical dating. And the reason is I wanted to prepare the ground before the children started arriving. So 3 years later, when the children started coming, we had prepared how to welcome them, how to live, how to, if I found out that she had done something I didn't like, how we would settle it. We prepared all that. We arranged all that. What men need to do is this, which is just a suggestion from me, which is something I used to do. I used to call my wife to a meeting. Yes. I said, darling, I used to call her honey. Honey, I would like for us to have a discussion. And she will know it's official. This is your wife in the same house. Why are you telling her you need to have a meeting? I wanted it to be official. So from time to time, maybe once a month or so, I'll call her to a meeting. I'll say, see, we've lived for this long. I want to know which areas have I not been treating you well. Tell me, I want to correct them. She will tell me. I also will tell her, I wish you could change this and that. And that's how we kept living together. We used to have those meetings often. And so when I say we lived 16 years, 8 months before she died, and we never had a quarrel, no third party ever entered into the marriage. The reason is because I was ready. I got her ready. You don't treat the woman as if she is nothing. She is your partner. You are a team. If you see her as a member of your team, and you are the captain of the team, you let her know what you feel should be done, and also learn to listen to her. If you devise a means of listening to her, giving her a listening ear, she would likely love you for the rest of her life.
Wow, that's good. She will love you for the rest of her life. So I want you to tell us, how can parents minimize the negative effect of divorce on their children? Like this one, they say, no, divorce, it has happened. That's what we're talking about, the effect.
Yeah. Okay,
how do you think they can minimize the effect? Because I cannot advise people to stay in a toxic marriage when it's toxic. I think when it's toxic, you separate it, because we've talked about divorce and moving on in our previous discussion.
Yes.
So how can they minimize this effect so that these children will not feel the negative impact of divorce?
Okay, beautiful question there. First of all, like you said, I'd like to agree with you. It's not advisable to stay in a toxic marriage.
Exactly.
But when divorce has happened, or shortly before it's finalized.
Okay.
Let's start from there.
All right.
Okay, so the parents need to reach out to the child and say, this is what's going on between me and your dad, or between me and your mom. I want you to know, you have to make it clear to the child that the child is not the reason.
Okay.
First of all, because you see, children tend to blame themselves for their parents' divorce.
All right.
So the parents have to sink it down into his or her brain that he or she, that child, is not the reason for the divorce.
All right.
The child is not the reason, because sometimes a mother, towards the end of towards the finalization point of the divorce, a mother might say to the child, go to the fridge and get yourself ice cream if you want ice cream. And the father might say, can't you just help this child and get this child ordinary ice cream from the fridge that is next to you? And so they start fighting. The thing that is causing this ice cream fight is not really the ice cream.
Exactly.
There are other things.
Exactly.
Maybe mismanagement of the bedroom and the rest of it.
Okay.
But the child now is seeing his parent or her parents fighting because he wants ice cream. So the child tends to think, oh, I am the cause of the divorce. You must let the child know the child is not the cause of the divorce. That's number one. The next thing I want to mention is when divorce happens, the child needs someone to reaffirm or reassure the child. Speak good things into the child's life. You are a good kid. Your parents had the disagreement. It was not your fault. And see, irrespective of the divorce, you can be whatever you want to be in life. The child needs a coach. So the parents need, especially when it is the mom that the child is staying with, at least 50% of the time.
Okay.
Usually more than 50% of the time, the children end up with the woman.
The woman.
Yeah, so, madam, you need to advise your children, guide them. You need to guide the children to select the right coach for their lives, because now the father figure is no longer there. I know the woman might want to go on to remarry, but between the time of course, not every woman who divorces can remarries, but between the time, if she is going to remarry because she wants a father figure for the children, between the time of the divorce and when she remarries, that child needs someone to continue to reaffirm the good qualities of that child. Then thirdly, I would like to say it's not the best thing to program your children or one's child to hate one's ex.
Okay.
Do not program your children to hate their father. Do not program your children to hate their mother.
All right.
Don't say to a child, see how you are behaving exactly like your father.
Okay.
The child already knows that you hate his father, and now you are saying, look at your head like your father's head. You finally end up like your father, treating women like trash. Don't do that. Do not do that, because inside the mind of the child, the child has seen what has happened, at least some portions of what happened in the marriage. And most times, children of divorced parents are determined, the good ones anyways, are determined to make sure that what happened to their parents don't happen to them. So when you start telling the child you will end up like your father, you're behaving exactly like your mother. This is the same thing I was complaining about your mother. And you, Sandra, you started doing the same thing. I hope you don't divorce your husband the way your mother has divorced. You don't do that. You are battering, you're killing that child. It shouldn't happen. Those are some of the things that parents should not do. And like I said, reaffirmation. Tell the child how good they are. Those are the things that could help the child. Permit me, before I let this go, most times people think the child will be fine.
Okay.
My child is a strong kid. Children are resilient.
Yeah.
They are strong. I've trained them to be strong. Like it or not, hardly any child who has, especially children below the age of 18, hardly anyone who will not be adversely and psychologically affected by his or her parents' divorce. Hardly anyone. So what do you do when you see a child after divorce begins to withdraw? If the child begins to withdraw, it's a problem. Know that that child is suffering silently, sort of mourning the marriage.
Okay.
That's what it is. And so what to do is talk the child into opening up to you.
All right.
Let the child open up to you, or bring in someone, guide the child into the hands of someone, like I was saying a while ago, into the hands of someone who would help the child open up and talk about it. Because talking about it really helps. That's something to do.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've done justice to the topic, I must say. So what will you talk about? What will you say about co-parenting?
Co-parenting is it's another biggie, you know. Again, it depends on the foundation the both of them have laid. There is such a thing as peaceful dissolution of marriage.
Yes.
Yeah, there are people who go their separate ways peacefully, and so that translates into peaceful co-parenting also. But when the divorce, when the dissolution of the marriage was or is terrible, a bad dream, a nightmare, something each person wants to forget.
Okay.
It also affects co-parenting.
Okay.
Yes, but each of the parties need to understand something. There is a child or there are children in the middle who still need their both parents.
Exactly.
Now they've been denied that privilege. They've been denied that privilege. They've been turned into two worlds. Children come into this world designed to know one world, one unit, called family. But now they've been divided into two. So they have to now learn all of a sudden, like adults, how to combine these two. So both parties must make sure, must do everything within their power to hide their angst towards each other.
All right.
The anger that each party, one person has towards the other, should be hid from this child. Otherwise, you see, while the child was still living under the two parents, the child made up his mind or her mind as to who is wrong.
Okay.
So if you go into divorce and now you have to co-parent, so to say, and then you bring up something ugly again, the child one day will tell you, this is exactly what you were doing. I blame you for divorcing my dad.
Okay.
It was your fault that my mom had to leave. You break their child's heart twice. when you go ahead to hurt the person you've already divorced. You might think you are only hurting the man or only hurting the woman, but as long as that child is still getting winds of your continued disagreements and hurting of each other after the divorce, you're hurting the child all over again. The child gets to relive all that trauma of the divorce. So co-parenting should be done amicably. Let go where you can, and don't, if it's a woman, mostly, sorry, but it's the ladies that mostly want to keep their children away from the man. If you wanted them so much, why did you divorce me? Or why didn't you behave well so that we can remain together? Or where it is the man is like, you didn't behave well, I don't want to teach my children bad behavior, or to program them wrongly against me. So the man keeps the children from their mother. That is, permit me to say, evil.
Okay.
You don't do that. It is wrong. If you love the children as you keep telling them you do, don't keep them from the other parent.
I'm so dumbfounded right now. Thank you so much. Don't keep them from the other parents. So you have to put your pride, your differences aside for the sake of these children.
That's right.
I want you to tell us, what is the misconception about this divorce? Because in this Nigeria, I will not say Western world, because in Western world, it's the normal for them. There are some misconceptions about divorce. So can you tell us some misconception about divorce?
Okay, I'll just take it to an angle.
Okay.
The angle is
it really a bad thing? In quotes.
You see, questions about marriage are mostly relative. You couldn't say yes to it
or no to it,
because every marriage has its idiosyncrasies and peculiarities.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, so like the example I gave earlier. Imagine that a woman is in a marriage and she really wants to remain in that marriage, and she has a daughter with this husband of hers, but the husband is molesting the girl. She has tried, brought in relatives, talked to the man, prayed and done all whatnot, and this has continued. Maybe the man stopped for some time, and later the woman discovers, my 3-year-old or 5-year-old is still being abused by my husband. Definitely, I wouldn't ask the woman to remain in that marriage. Take your daughter and go, if you can. Okay? But that's the social me talking.
Okay.
If the pastor in me begins to talk, I might be able to say other things. Okay, but this is a secular radio, so I wouldn't want to do that. So I would advise the woman to take her leave with her daughter as quickly as she can. So on that note, I would say divorce is okay. If it is about infidelity,
okay,
infidelity is a terrible thing on both sides.
It is.
It is a terrible thing. Imagine walking in as a man. I'm not sure you'll be able to imagine that because you're a lady.
Even as a lady,
walking in,
it's still same.
And into your bedroom, and there, or even a hotel room, and there is your wife with another man. Men have killed for that. They call it crime of passion. Okay, but if it continues, if you, like I said, try first of all to resolve your issues. But if this continues and you feel it is not something you can deal with, you might want to divorce. But then, you see, if you stay in the marriage, you stand a better chance of fighting for your marriage.
Okay. Are we supposed, is there supposed to be a fight, like you fighting in
marriage?
No,
not fighting with your partner.
No, not fight.
For the marriage to survive.
To survive, yes. Fighting to stay.
Yes.
Fighting
to stay.
Okay.
Fighting to stay.
Okay.
Anyway, this is Africa. Well, it's insane that African men generally are polygamous in nature.
Mm.
While I will not excuse infidelity based off of the fact that African men are said to be polygamous in nature,
okay,
it is important for a woman to not throw her marriage into the trash can at the first instance of infidelity on the side of the man.
Okay, first instance, you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Not even the second. If he continues, you have to weigh your options as a woman. If you go out there and become a single mother, a divorcee, how does this impact on your children, like we are talking about it today. So you consider many of our mothers from the 60s, let me not go too far, 60s, 70s, 80s, they stayed in very abusive, extremely abusive marriages because of their children. They knew how badly their children would be affected if they left the marriage. So I would say, do not divorce just because someone in the marriage, any party at all, whether it's male or female, is being promiscuous, is being unfaithful. Okay. Don't divorce just at the first or second instance, or just because somebody told you or even showed you a video. Rather, try to find a way to work on it. Most times when men become unfaithful, the reason is usually because not usually, some men are just promiscuous. The reason is, most times, one of the reasons they give is that this woman denies me the bed.
Okay.
There are many ladies out there who are begging me to come to their bed, and
exactly.
The one I have at home is denying me the bed.
Okay.
So then the question would be, sir, are you sure it's not your fault that she's denying you the bed?
Okay.
I am a teacher of the word of God, of the Bible. Okay. So when I teach people the Bible and they don't seem to understand it, what I do is look back at myself. Is it possible that I'm not presenting this particular subject in the best way possible, which is why this person keeps asking this question over and over, or this person doesn't seem to understand what I am teaching? So I look back at myself. When I was married, before my wife went to be with the Lord, if she had an issue with me, or she's frowning, or she's showing me any of those signs that she was unhappy, I'll first of all, and then I ask her, what's the problem? And she tells me. Before I begin to blame her or begin to, point accusing fingers, I'll ask myself, is there a better way I could have done this? So men should ask themselves, if your wife wants a divorce, is it possible that there was a better way? You could have done things. Isn't it possible that you were the reason? Let's even say she's so abusive, she insults you, you provide all the things that you need to provide for her, and she still doesn't regard you, and she actually goes after other men with the resources you've provided. I saw a video recently of a man who has lived in Canada for some years, bought some houses here in Nigeria, has appealed to the wife so many times to join him in Canada, and the wife refused. One day he landed in Nigeria and arrived at his house. Behold, there was a man living in his house with the wife. Okay, so you begin to ask yourself, what did I do wrong? What the man did wrong is, you insist, if she's your wife, insist that she lives with you to Canada. Get the papers ready. Come down here and take her if you have to. So don't abandon a woman. Women need to be catered to both emotionally and physically. But if you're a man and you only want the physical aspect, you only do the physical side, you only want the bedroom every time, you don't consider other things that are her needs, you really need to work on that. Lastly, I want to say, a lot of people go into marriage knowing absolutely nothing or next to nothing about marriage.
Exactly. And
so they have, when challenges arrive in marriage, they don't know what to do. People go through primary school 6 years, secondary school another 6 years or 5 years, university minimum of 4 years to get a certificate, one certificate, first degree, so that they can become employable and do all whatnot. So you stay for 16 to 18 years to get educated. And then you get employed, you work for 30 years or 35 years, you retire. But then you're going to get married and you're supposed to live for the rest of your life, all of your life with this person. It's not 35 years. Let's say both of you grow to be 80 or 90 and you got married at 25 or 30 or 35. So for the remaining 55 years, you're going to be living with this person. Yet you know absolutely not. You've not read one book on marriage. Or maybe you just read one or two. Or your marriage teachers are Facebook in-laws. And you get into marriage. These are the reasons why marriages collapse so easily these days.
All right, thank you so much. But like they're saying that marriage do not have a particular format, that you just do what works for you. And what will you say about men saying that they've after marriage they've now later find happiness somewhere else? Because I often hear men saying, I found happiness. My wife don't give me peace. I always go out and find peace. What will you tell them? Because obviously these men right now are claiming to be the victims, but indeed it's the ladies there are the victim. And also, you talked about you fighting for your marriage. How can you fight to keep somebody that don't want to stay? I think life is too short to be around somebody that don't actually want to stay. Don't you think that it's best to let them go when they really want to go, so they don't make you a default option? They have to stay if their heart asks them. You don't fight. Our parent, like you said, fought, endure abusive marriage. Our fathers maybe beat them and all of that, but it's not. Doesn't make it right.
Beautiful question, Elizabeth, and thank you very much. Now, when people are thinking of marriage, they talk a lot. I can tell you from experience. One person is at the other end of the phone, and this person, you spend 1 hour without thinking. It's just 5 minutes talking, sometimes talking next to nothing, rubbish. Sorry about that. You talk about things that are so trivial,
okay,
almost useless, and sometimes, of course, reasonable things.
Exactly.
You keep talking and talking. You want to stay with this. You spend hours with this person, even physically talking, and then suddenly you get married. That person is now living with you in the same house.
They suddenly got bored.
Instead of continuing the talk in this new level,
okay,
couples most times tend to reduce the talk.
Okay.
You're not supposed to reduce the talk.
Okay.
You're supposed to continue communicating.
Okay.
If people who are married spend time talking to each other, spend time daily talking to each other, no matter how busy you are, if you spend time daily just talking to each other as friends, there is hardly any issue you will not be able to resolve, including issues of she is not satisfying me, he is not satisfying me.
Okay.
So if the man says, my wife is not giving me peace of mind, have you tried to discuss it with her? I didn't say put it to her.
Okay.
You don't put it to her. Women are wired to reproduce and multiply whatever you give to them. So if you put it to her, she will multiply putting it into back to you as a man. And you don't want that. You'll be seeing a fellow man in the same house. You want a woman. So talk to her in the most loving way possible. That other woman that is giving you peace of mind outside, how did you approach her?
Okay.
Try approaching your wife the same way. You'll be so shocked. You'll be so surprised that this woman has been a tiger and you the lamb in the house suddenly becomes the real lamb that she was meant to be. She'll give you the best that is in her. Talk, communicate. Couples should talk. Couples should communicate. And when you have issues, don't come to the discussion table with the mindset that he is wrong and I want to show him that he is wrong. She is wrong. I want to teach her that she is wrong and she better listens to me. No, that's pride. And you see, pride goes before a fall. And what is going to fall here is the marriage. So keep your pride aside. Drop your ego when you want to discuss with her, or you want to discuss with him about how you are no longer happy as you used to be when you were dating or when you got married newly. Discuss it. And like I said, you are both a team. See yourself as a team. If you see yourself as a team, you want the best for your team.
Okay.
You want the best for your team. So you will do whatever it takes. Like I said earlier, if you love your children, this is where to show it. Try to discuss, and the position should be darling or honey or sweetheart. I have to tell you, for some time now, I've not been happy in our marriage.
Okay.
What do you think we can do to become happy again? You see, that's different from Maureen. She has become Maureen.
Okay.
She's no longer babe or honey or darling. Maureen, I've been telling you this. You see, you are getting me every time I'm coming home. My heart is skipping out of my body because I don't know. You're going to give me high blood pressure one of these days, or you're going to make my high blood pressure worse. You're going to kill me one of these days. This is emotional torture. I can't continue to take this. You should be able to control yourself as a man.
Okay.
Take the other approach. See her as a woman you want to approach newly to get peace of mind from her.
Okay.
How would you do it? The same thing goes to the woman. If he is misbehaving, how would you entice your husband Women stop, most women, not all,
Okay.
most women stop enticing, in quotes, enticing their husbands after they get married. After all, I have him. The man, let me tell you, the man feels taken for granted when a woman begins to do that. You have to continue to entice him. If it is your sweet voice that you used to entice him before he got married to you, don't drop the sweet voice. If it is rubbing his ego, don't stop. That's what brought him to you. Increase it. If he found you to be excellent in the other room, why are you now making it look like he has to earn it? You shouldn't do that. Now, I have to drop this secret. Most women don't know this. If you married a man and he was doing well when you married him, and suddenly things begin to turn out ugly for him, his finances begin to drop and all that, and maybe he even blames you sometimes, you can actually help him.
Okay.
And I hope this gets to as many women as possible. There is such a thing as sexual help.
Okay.
Help him as much as increase the number of times you drag him to the bed. That does a lot to the psyche of the man. You will see a bull come out of the house and go out there to fight and win for the two of you.
Can
But
you
if
hear
you-
that, women listening right now?
But if you now say, oh, after all, he's no longer bringing anything home, he's now at home, he's no longer worth anything, and then because he's not buying you gifts as he used to do, you begin to withdraw or serve him the bed as the reward for the gifts he bought or the money he gave you last night or in the morning. You are playing a very dangerous game. You are playing a dangerous game. You're playing a very... What is the other woman outside doing for him? Ask yourself that question. As much as you don't like him, sister, when he gets home, get into all those skimpy dresses for him and make sure he notices. Even if he doesn't notice or he's pretending not to notice, trust me, he is noticing. Once in a while, rub your body against his own. Let him feel that he has a woman in the house. Let him feel you. If he's feeling you, he will be the best husband.
All right. If it's feeling you, you're gonna be the best husband or best wife. Your relationship's gonna get better.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening to me right now. Remember, you are listening to NYSC Radio 88.3 FM, still our Mending Heart program with Elizabeth Ikone and Pastor Sylvanus here in the studio. Like I said, for you to join our conversation, call us on 091 555 5898 to join the interaction. Call us again on 091 555 5898. For many children, divorce can be a difficult and confusing time. Today, we discuss ways to support and nurture kids through challenging experiences. So, sir, how can we nurture this case through this challenging experience?
Okay, like I've said, get the child a coach where possible or where necessary, and don't stop loving the child, even when the child hates you, because sometimes children get to blame one party of the divorce, of the marriage. Even if you sense that divorce, don't withdraw from the child. Even if you sense that hatred from the child, don't withdraw. Put yourself in the shoes of the child. It's been said that 1 year after divorce, most men cease to be part of their children's life. 1 year after divorce, most men, 25% of the men, cease to be part of their children's life. That shouldn't be you. You have to decide and say to yourself, it won't be me. Now, 5 to 10 years down the line, it's been said, research has actually shown that, and these are not just ordinary, these are longitudinal researches that follow the child from childhood onto adulthood. Researchers have shown that 5 to 10 years later, only 50% of the men remain in the lives of their children.
Okay.
Maybe because, of course, the children have grown, they become adults and all that. But know this for sure. A child blames either both parties or one particular person in the marriage for the divorce and tends to develop hatred towards that person. So you have to make sure that the child doesn't hate you or hate your ex. You must make sure the child does not develop a hatred for any of you. Secondly, try to build the child's sense of worthiness.
Okay.
Children tend to think they are unwanted because their father divorced their mother, went on to form a different marriage, a different family. So the step family is sort of the first class citizens. The child sees himself as second class citizen. You must build the child's confidence and make sure that that doesn't happen. Let the child know you are not a second class person or second class citizen just because I'm no longer married to your mother or to your father. You are still highly, very much valued. That's very, very important to rebuild the confidence of the child. And don't just be throwing money. Money is not enough. Once in a while, show up at the football game. Show up during his or her birthday. It's important. Be there. Talk on phone. Make sure you speak with them on phone as much as possible. If you are so busy, make it 10 minutes every day or 5 minutes every day, and don't miss. If you say you are going to call them, make sure you do it.
Okay.
Make sure you do it. Make sure you do it. That cannot be overemphasized, because if you disappoint that child, after some time, the child will disconnect from you. So when you finally come, you say, "I'm just coming because let it not be as if you still have value for me. I know you don't." Meanwhile, you still do. You still love the child. See, every child, every man, every real man loves his child to the death.
Okay.
And can die for that child. Men have done it several times. So you have to show that you love that child. If you don't show it, the child might not know. The child will not be able to read your mind. Same goes to the woman. You have to show that you love. Don't just get married to another man and then forget you have children.
Okay.
I've heard of stories. I had a co-worker whose wife left him with their three kids and went away with another man. These stories are everywhere. That shouldn't be you as a woman. No matter what, be in the life of your children, and don't plan to come and take them away from their father just because you've divorced. Even if you want to take some of them or all of them, or even if it is one child and you want, do it amicably. Don't continue the fight. Otherwise, it will affect the child. The child will grow up to be so antagonistic in class, will begin to perform poorly academically, and might take that into the workplace. There are people whom you cannot work with in the same office. Go and check. You will find out that it's likely they are coming from a broken family. Most times, either a broken family or a polygamous family where the father of the house was not able to put their faces together and to unite his family properly. So there is hatred between the children of this woman and the children of the other woman. Okay,
so you said something about fight for the custody of children, like when you want to go and take the children from the father. Are you saying that the children is actually meant to be with their father?
No, not really. It depends on the couple. Okay, it depends on the couple. It doesn't have to be. Children were not designed to be either with the father or the mother. They were designed to be with the two of them. But where it's not possible, the two parents should be able to, like intelligent people, grown-ups, decide how best are we going to do this so that the child is already affected, so that the injury does not get deeper than it already is. Okay. So both of them should decide that. Most times the mother is better disposed to taking care of the children. Most times. Yeah. So the onus now will rest on the man to provide financially and to be there as much as he can. Okay. Yes. All right, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you. And I want your last word. I want you to advise, because a lot of people are listening to us right now. There are people actually planning also to get a divorce. There are people that are divorced, and there are people that have not gone into marriage. What is your advice to those that are planning to get a divorce because they want to get a divorce because of one thing or the other, and some of them that are divorced? What's your advice? And those getting into marriage, and what's your advice for them to minimize the effect, to minimize divorce? Do you understand? Yes, because divorce is now at a very high rate. You see people getting divorced as if it's nothing. And it's not like that, like you said, in the 90s and in the 60s. It wasn't like that. There's nothing like divorce. But right now, it's a recurring decimal. It's nothing. You can marry today and divorce tomorrow. Do you understand? That's why people do court marriage right now. So I want you to tell us ways by which we can minimize this divorce, because we can see that this divorce is really affecting the children. They are the people that it's affecting the most. So what's your advice to them? Okay, thank you very much. It's been said that when someone is divorced, the chances of that person divorcing again grows by 50%. So,
Okay.
yeah, when the second marriage breaks down, the chances of the person divorcing again the third time grows by 75%.
Okay.
So the more the divorce, the greater
the chances.
the chances. So, what to do then if you are in the process of getting a divorce is sit down and ask yourself, do I really want to do this to myself and my kids? If there are kids involved, if there are no kids involved, or even if there are kids involved, ask yourself, have there been people who've been in this same situation before and their marriage was saved? If yes, you too can do it. It
Okay.
comes with determination. It comes with you humbling yourself, whether you're the man or the woman. Don't say until he apologizes. If he does not apologize about this and this and that, I must divorce him. Don't say she is the woman, I am the man, this is Nigeria, this is Africa, men are the head. Come on. You said you loved your children, right? Or you said you loved this person, right? How about showing that, letting that love push you to the point of humbling yourself enough to try to work to save this marriage? Try to save the marriage first. Anyway, one of the things marriage counselors will tell you is try separation first.
Okay.
So you live apart for some time. Decide it, both of you. You decide, okay, let's live apart for some time. And during this time, our plan is not to work towards divorce. Our plan is to work towards getting back together the way we were. The first day I saw you and I said, oh my God, I must marry this woman. Get back to that point. The day you said, I do. What made you agree to marry this man? Get back to that point where you were so much in love with him, and then you get back together. Where separation does not work, well,
We have a call.
okay, please take it.
Hello? Hello? All right, we lost the call.
Okay, so when you've tried separation and it doesn't seem to be working, get into books. Get books and read. Or at least listen to talk shows, podcasts. In Christianity, we have messages that will help save marriage. I can speak to Christianity because that's my constituency. Okay, so there are people also, senior people who are more mature, whose marriages have lasted for a lifetime, whom you can talk to, and they will tell you, when I had this challenge that you're having now, which is leading you to this divorce, this is what I did and it saved my marriage.
Okay.
So you see, a marriage that would have ended up in divorce could be saved just by 1 minute piece of advice from a more experienced person. Talk to someone more respectable. Those who have not gotten into marriage, in order to avoid divorce, study about marriage.
Okay.
Sit down and read about marriage. Don't be lazy. Sit down and read about marriage. If you are the type that have problems with concentrating and reading for too long, get videos. There are plenty videos on YouTube. Just type in how not to get divorced when you get married. Something as simple as that. Plenty videos will come up. Or how to keep your marriage. Before you get married, get these videos and listen. Watch them, listen to them before you get married. Don't enter into marriage with an empty head. Sorry, I know you're a lady, but I have to say this. There are so many beautiful ladies and excellent shapes on the streets of all over the world anyway.
Okay.
Today, but the heads are empty. And it is the same thing with men. I look at some young men these days and I say to myself, as old as you are, you still reason like this? Is this how you're going to get married to an unfortunate lady and raise a family? There are so many young men who have next to nothing in their heads. And they are getting, in fact, no lady passes them without them turning to look at the lady. But they don't have anything upstairs. What do you know about marriage? Before I got married at 29. Before I got married, I was actually ready to marry at 24 because I had studied. I had read books on marriage. I had listened to messages on marriage. So I was ready. So when I tell you we lived 16 years, 8 months without having the need to bring in an outsider, it's not because I was oppressing her. She loved me till death. She told me that much. I loved her and still do. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
But I was ready before I got married. So it was easy for me to know what to do. Like calling her to those meetings and saying, let's discuss this. You know, you need to be ready. Just make sure you are ready before you get into marriage. That way you will avoid divorce.
All right, thank you so much, Pastor Silvanus, for coming over. This is where we're going to draw the curtain on today's Maiden Heart program. Remember, it has been your host, Elizabeth Ikone, and Pastor Silvanus. This is where we'll say bye. Don't forget to join us this and every Saturday at 12:30 till it is, and it's 10 minutes past the hour of 1 p.m. Don't forget, by 2, we get our news update, and of course, I'm going to take you on music for our show by 2 p.m. Bye.